Practice today, probably the last 2 days, if you can combine those, are probably two of the better, if not two of the best practice days we've had. We've challenged our players, and they responded. So I think that's a real positive as far as that goes. We had some physical practices, and like I've said all along, just kind of get back to the basics of offensively and defensively and special teams. And we've also worked hard in punting against the wind.
Oh, on the subject of punting, you guys gonna take a look at Hutchison or anybody else this week, or are you gonna go with Carlson?
Yeah, we'll have probably the same plan we had last game.
When you put the other kid out there, was that for like a spot on the field kind of deal?
Spot on the field. He's been very good at punting before, and like I said, that was his first action, and it was on the road, and the snap wasn't great. He bobbled, he did recover, but he's done a very good job, up to this point, and we have confidence in him.
Gus, how's Sammy doing? Rhett kind of mentioned after the game, it was clear he probably wasn't 100%. Against Kansas State, how's he doing? And then also, how important is it him to be at full strength to really show what this offense is capable of?
Well, I mean, he's one of the faster guys, in our league, and so it's definitely important for him to be full speed. And Coach Lashley was right. He wasn't quite 100%, but he was out there and he was playing hard and all that. He's had a solid week of practice. He has gotten better, and I think each day he gets better, and hopefully we'll have him close to 100%, if not 100% by Saturday.
When you look at the receivers and what they've done and what they haven't done, what has been the number one thing you've been any concerned about with them? Is it coming out of the routes? Is it just the timing routes? What is it?
Well, it's just the overall execution, of blocking who they're supposed to block with the right pad level, with the right angle, and everything that goes with it, and then route depth, and then catching the ball. There's a lot to playing receiver. It's not just out there go out and get open and run around, and we're very precise on what we ask our guys to do, and we have confidence those guys will get better. We have a lot of guys that have been in game situations that know exactly how to operate, and we just need to clean some things up.
A couple of the defensive back guys talked about having Trevon and his experience at wide receiver, how much that helps them in kind of turning routes.
There's no doubt. Offenses are very similar with splits and down in distance and route combinations and everything that go with that. So anytime you've got a guy that's been in the offensive side for as long as he has, a lot of times he'll know what's coming before it's coming, and I think that'll really help him. And I think you've already seen that it's helped him in certain situations. He's off to a very good start, and I feel like that, the more experience that he gets out there, the more comfortable that he'll be. Anytime you change positions, there's nothing better than Saturdays to get better and feel more comfortable.
Gus, from a coach's perspective, how rewarding is it to kind of see Trevon finally getting a lot of playing time and getting a lot of opportunities to shine, given everything he's experienced?
Yeah, it's very rewarding. He's a very good person. I mean, he is a super person off the field, and so it's really good to see him being successful on the field and making plays, having fun, and really helping our team.
The second group on offensive line, is Deion Mix the right guard now, or?
We have the ability for him to play center, guard, mix and match some different things. So yeah, he can play both.
Taken as a whole, the freshmen that have played, just how do you feel about how they've?
Well, we feel good about it, and we think that the guys that have played will all have a chance to really help us, and we think they'll get nothing but better. And that's the good thing, and not just offense and defense, but I'm always thinking special teams. That's when you can really step up, and special teams. We talked about quality depth in the fall camp and before the season, and that's a big part of it. So we feel good about the guys that played. And really how they play.
How do you feel about CJ and what he's been able to do so far? He obviously didn't get as many snaps as usual in that Kansas State game. What do you foresee?
Yeah, that was just kind of the way the game went with certain things. But we have a lot of confidence in him. He'll play more and more as the season goes on.
Is Holmesy one of those type of guys? He's just a smart football player, can figure things out.
You know, I think he definitely is. I mean, you're talking about a guy that played boundary safety last year. We moved him to corner, played boundary corner. Well, then on 2 days, he went out there and played field safety, and he was SEC Defensive Player of the Week. So, you know, he's just kind of a natural back there. He's got a good understanding of our defensive scheme. He's got a good understanding of, you know, how offenses attack too. He's a good tackler, and I think everybody saw that. He made a lot of one-on-one tackles the other night that were you know, very critical.
Because I know, at least when you look at the yardage last week, couldn't have been something you were very pleased with in the rushing department. But in a way, is it good to have a game like that because it gets guys' attention?
Yeah.
And I know Rhett was just saying that sometimes, you know, without, you know, you have little things that have to be corrected, but if you don't actually see it on film, sometimes you're more likely to be a little late.
Yeah, and that's, you know, anytime you can get attention of a group to improve, I think it's a positive thing in our players. They know we didn't play our best, and they know we didn't execute our best. And so I believe, or I gotta believe, a lot of that two of our better practice had to do because of that one thing, and that's a positive thing. And anytime a team reacts, you know, after you don't do as well as you'd like, and you challenge your team, I think that's a good thing. But we got to carry that over on Saturday. You know, I mean, practice is great. Now, usually it does carry over if you practice well. Usually it does. And so, but I'm pleased with the fact that they came out. And it wasn't just offense. I mean, our defense really practiced well the last 2 days too.
You said before the year that, you know, you obviously wanted to get Jeremy more involved. Outside of that first half of the first game,
Yeah.
Are you happy with kind of how you've implemented him?
You know, like I said, me and Rhett, we have a plan each week. That game, the way it unfolded, it didn't get him on the field a lot. But like I said, we have confidence in him, and he will play more and more as the year goes on.
Does Jeremy actually catch passes at all in practice, or was that totally just a decoy thing?
Catch passes in practice.
Well, I mean, he lined up the receiver twice last Thursday.
2010, we threw it to Cam Newton for a touchdown, so we may.
Unless it's gusty.